and I watched the cup on the weekend. Liverpool defensively, everybody talks about, oh, Van Dijk. Everyone else on that Liverpool defense, man, open. And the difference is we got finishers. We have legit finishers. So all this talk about, oh, Madrid, you've used all 9 lives. Nuh-uh. To be honest, City's finishers are better than Liverpool's finishers outside of Salah. Mane is having a season of his life for sure. But outside of that, Diaz, wasteful. Right? Jota, Jota is Liverpool's Asensio. Bobby Firmino has not been fit for seems like 3 years, right? Who's going to finish for them? And on that EPL versus La Liga, we have the infamous final. It's everybody's talked about this. There's been so many analysis on this, but I think after everyone's had some time, Madrid fans had some time to come back down from cloud 20 on the last three rounds of Champions League football. EPL fans have come down from this disappointment. I'm not gonna lie, I've watched over and over every round. I watched against Chelsea and against City and against PSG. The fans' reactions throughout the game. Oh my goodness, man. I have never had so much fun watching other people's reactions to anything in my life. This is how the City fans were so sure. But anyways, I will go back into that because that's the past. What we want to talk about is the final. And now that everybody's settled down, I think we've been able to.
Good point. Wait, Jeff. It's a good point. I will say that the Champions League journey of Real Madrid has surprised so many fans that no one thought they were going to come back. And everybody thought the remontada was against PSG and so forth. And then you had the remontada versus Barcelona with Liverpool that put us really to shame, even though Messi scored that crazy free kick and so forth. I will say this. Fans nowadays are so selfish that they're not willing to wait 90 minutes. I'll specifically call out the Real Madrid fans that left the stadium before they got their team to come back. I will forever shame that person that actually tried to come back after spending €280 ticket and leave early. For what? I mean, stay with your team to the end. You think I wanted to watch 90 minutes of Liverpool destroying me? You think I wanted to watch things? No. You think I wanted to watch Bayern Munich destroy me 8-0? I waited. You watch it till the end because you're a fan. Yeah. You don't just quit.
Ride or die. Yeah. You're there for the wins. You're there for the L's, and those are true fans. You know what? And to be fair, it wasn't majority of people. You know, it was, and I feel like it's this thing where, you know, it's this sense of, oh, you've disappointed me. No, it's not about the team disappointing you. They made it to the Champions League semifinal without a Cristiano Ronaldo, without a Messi, without an Mbappe, without a Kevin De Bruyne, right? Like you stick around for that because they gave you Champions League semifinal and they gave you La Liga in a season that we thought we were going to be trophyless. So 100% with you, man. And when it happened, I was like, okay, well, you know what? There was a blip moment where my brain went. I had this moment of you know when your computer screen goes blue and then you're just like, oh, I gotta press I gotta restart. I had that moment where I was like, oh, it's over. And then right away I'm like, you know what? It could happen again. You know, never say never. And literally 5 minutes later, Rodrigo, because I kept saying it. If Ancelotti prioritizes Rodrigo over Asensio, we will. Go back. I've always said it. Rodrigo is the guy on the right wing. He is our next forward, not Asensio. You know, and that's been the key for us. The subs, Rodrigo, Camavinga. Those are the subs. And I hope that, you know, if I can talk for a second about what I think we should go out with. The same starting lineup we did against PSG second leg, against Chelsea, against City. PSG gave us. We were about to go out with PSG more than Chelsea and more than City. PSG, right? who had attackers, who had the ability to finish. And I watched the cup on the weekend. Liverpool defensively, everybody talks about, oh, Van Dijk. Everyone else on that Liverpool defense, man, open. And the difference is we got finishers. We have legit finishers. So all this talk about, oh, Madrid, you've used all 9 lives. Nuh-uh. To be honest, City's finishers are better than Liverpool's finishers outside of Salah. Mane is having a season of his life for sure. But outside of that, Diaz, wasteful, right? Jota, Jota is Liverpool's Asensio. Bobby Firmino has not been fit for seems like 3 years, right? Who's going to finish for them? You think you get another Fabinho and whatever? Liverpool's midfield does not compare against Real Madrid's. And I'm hoping, and I know it won't happen, I'm hoping the lineup is our back four, obviously Alba, Militao, Mendy, Carvajal. Carvajal and Mendy can handle Salah and Mane equivalently. As long as Militao gets his mind right, which is what I've been seeing from the last few games has been a disappointment. Midfield, let me just talk about top 3, which is obviously going to be Vini, Benzema, Fede Valverde playing that right wing role. And then you're going to have Casemiro, obviously. And then you're going to have Modric, obviously. I think he should start Camavinga. Because Camavinga,
I was going to say that. You should start Camavinga.
You should start Camavinga. Cruz, as much as I love him, he's a legend. Just like how, I'm not saying we should start Marcelo. He's still a legend. He's not quite there yet. He hasn't gotten to that next level. And he shows these blips, and I think he knows it. He can't beat people, but his vision is good. But he needs Casemiro behind him, and needs Modric in front of him, and he needs strong wingers up at the top. And I wouldn't play, if you're not going to play Rodrigo, you shouldn't play Cruz. And so I would play Camavinga to help out Mendy with Salah and to keep Arnold on lock. If we keep Arnold on lock on the right and we keep Robertson on lock on the left, useless. Liverpool is dead in the water because there's no communication, and they'll have to start too deep. And Benzema, the way Benzema plays, he doesn't give those defensive holding midfield players any time on the ball, any time to think, or the defenders. And you saw how Van Dijk was struggling with Lukaku, and this is an unfit Lukaku. Benzema doesn't use his size; he uses this.
There was stuff that they like. I was watching Liverpool defense, and I'm like, okay, you can do that because it's Pulisic. You can't be pulling that. You can't be giving Benzema that much space.
Or Valverde because he'll pick up the pass because he plays for the team, or Vinny because he'll pick up the pass because he plays for the team.
I'm actually looking forward to see Vinny versus Trent. That's going to be it. Trent's going to be on that wing, right?
We've already seen it. Last year in the quarterfinals, we saw it. We destroyed them. That's what people don't understand. With Cruz, Modric, and Casemiro, we destroyed Liverpool because Zidane came out with the plan. He said, "I'm going to make sure your fullbacks are either pinned back or they can't do anything." And that's why I'm kind of like maybe you should play 4-3-3 and drop Cruz and play Valverde in the 3 with Casemiro and Modric, and then play Rodrigo. That's what I would play. To be very honest, that's what I would play. But I give Liverpool I'll give Liverpool their roses because I would really go with the 4-4-2 and play Valverde as that right wing, right mid, and then have Camavinga start. But if he starts Cruz as well, I would understand. But the first substitution has to be Rodrigo because for me, the only way to beat Liverpool is to pin back their fullbacks. If you pin back their fullbacks, Salah has to drop too deep. And if Salah has to drop too deep, Modric is there, Casemiro is there, right? And if Mane drops too deep, Mane is not he's not a creative guy. Around the box, he's creative, right? I'm looking at this. It was like, Liverpool's a better team than Madrid. City is a better team than Madrid from front to back. The only player that Madrid has over City, Benzema. That's it. Against Liverpool, I can name a handful. Who on Liverpool is better than Modric? Who on Liverpool is better than Vinny? outside of Salah.
Well, you could probably put. I definitely agree with you, but I think you can probably put Thiago on the Modric level. But then he also needs the support.
No,
I think you could put Thiago on. I think you could put Thiago on that.
Thiago had blips from Bayern, from Barca to Bayern to blips. Thiago will give, if the role that Thiago gives you is like a Cruz that can beat somebody. His vision is impeccable. His touch is impeccable. But the difference is between him and Cruz, he can move, right? So, anyways, I had to go on my rant. I had to let the boys know. I had to let everybody know. This isn't going to be a 90th minute win. This is going to be a Liverpool team who is tired against a Real Madrid team who's revitalized, rested players, kept them in form, kept them in shape, right? This is going to be, and the thing that people forget, Liverpool, everybody knows what they're going to play. Everybody knows. Ancelotti's been planning for Liverpool since he left Everton, right? The difference is no one knows what Real Madrid plays. Nobody knows what Real Madrid does well. Nobody, except for Real Madrid fans. We could be watching week in, week out, and we know when they're in their form. We know what they do. How's Klopp going to prepare for us? Is he going to have a plan for Benzema and Vinny? If he does, it's probably going to alter his playing style. And I can't see Klopp doing that. Klopp is the kind of person who, regardless of who's playing, we're all playing this style, regardless of who's playing. That's why he's able to rest players, kind of like what Pep Guardiola does, without the micromanaging. That's the one advantage I'll say in terms of preparation, is that Real Madrid, we can be prepared for Liverpool. Liverpool can't necessarily be prepared for Real Madrid because we haven't shown in Champions League how well we can play when we're on it, except for that first leg against Chelsea. That was the only time. All right, guys. I'll let you guys talk about Liverpool and how you think they're going to be better than Real Madrid.
Well, I don't. So it's interesting because besides that long Real Madrid rant.
Yeah, but remember, you said no red cards for me.
I didn't even mention red card. I didn't even mention red card. You fully
come on, Eve.
You had a
I've been waiting for this moment for quite a few weeks now.
Mr. Vacation over here.
All season. He's been waiting for all season because his team was shot down at the very beginning of the season. Like, the team that will even make quarterfinals, and
all of La Liga was shot down at the very beginning.
Obviously, he deserves it. I mean, it's like, when Messi left, everybody's like, you're never going to make it. Granted, I thought the same, but we made the second, so whatever it is. Anyways, we'll hear about Liverpool. So personally, I truly believe that Real Madrid, it could be their strength as it can weakness, this amount of time that they've had to refresh, because we've all seen that you can either have too much time in the World Cup, too many days, or not enough days fighting. I truly think it'll be the strength of Real Madrid, but I wouldn't put all my hopes on it. I think Liverpool, it depends what they're fighting for, because they will be affected by injuries, and I think that should have been a wake-up call versus the last game with Salah. That should have been a wake-up call to maybe prep your boys to be at the top of their game. I wouldn't say one team is better than the other. I would say they're kind of equally matched in a sense, because Liverpool have not come into this Champions League as the ultimate winner. They've had a lot of struggles, a lot more than we thought. And I would say Real Madrid have come into this game by saying that it's not really the best team either, yet they've come back. I'd say if you look on coverage and player, I would say that Real Madrid have a little bit better because they come back with those strong players. But if I look at all Real Madrid games, they've always lost. And that's, for me, is scary. How to not take those goals quick. Because if they take those goals quick, can they come back? That's the question. Can they do it again? And it's a Champions League final. You get one game. And Pep overthinks it. Maybe Klopp won't overthink it. Maybe Pep, Klopp will maybe sit back. I don't know what he's going to do. But I will say, I think my prediction is we're going to see Real Madrid go ahead first, and maybe Liverpool come back. And that'll be the decider. How can you come back to either overtake Real Madrid, or is Real Madrid going to be there? I think Benzema won't score. I think Salah won't score. I think Mane won't score. I think we're maybe going to see, as usual, those players that we've never heard about all season wake up And maybe it'll be Asensio's. Who knows? Jeff's boy all along. Who all
I'm
of a
giving
sudden
you a
will
red
wake up.
card. I'm giving you the red card for that comment.
I was waiting for it. I was waiting for it. Now, I truly believe, like in a final, that it's always a player we never think of. So what I think is going to happen is going to be a very boring first 45 minutes of trials of I'll do this and you do that. And then all of a sudden, the first goal will happen. And it'll kind of open the game up. And then we'll see who comes back or who doesn't. I think Real Madrid has to be very careful that if they take in goals too early, I'm not too sure they can come back in this one because Klopp won't overthink it like Pep. I guarantee you that. So yeah, that's my prediction. But it'll be a nice, interesting finals for the men, and then for the women we can discuss after. Go ahead, Josh.
Yeah, no, I definitely do agree with what you're saying. I think this is going to be. This is actually. It's been a while since I've looked forward to a Champions League finals, and I think this is the one I'm looking forward to because, like we said, both teams they're coming in hot form. They have experience both in the players that have been, Real Madrid. They still have pretty much give or take, no Ronaldo, no Bale, but they pretty much have the same team that won the last Champions League against Liverpool. And then you've also got Liverpool, who has pretty much the same team that played in the finals against Real Madrid and also the finals against Tottenham where they won. So you have experience from both coaches and also players. And then history. And, like we've talked about it already, Real Madrid and Liverpool, historically, we could say the best two teams in the Champions League. So there is a lot riding on this game. But like I said, my hate for Liverpool obviously is leaning towards obviously a Real Madrid win. Jeff is right. Like we haven't, I think in my predictions with a different channel, we had Footy Fantasy. We had done our drafts from group stage all the way to the finals. I do remember having Real Madrid in the finals, but I think it was against City. So my final prediction was actually what happened in the semifinals. So, but I did have Real Madrid in the finals, and it was just because when you look at, I always look at Real Madrid in the Champions League, and I've always said this: if you want to stop Real Madrid, stop them in the group stage or the knockout phase or the quarterfinals. Once he gets past the quarterfinals, it's game over. It's literally, that's where that experience kicks in. Real Madrid, they just know how to get the job done. And, so I'm happy to see that, I'm happy to see both teams make it. I think it's going to be an entertaining game overall. I think it's going to be an entertaining game. And I picked up something Jeff said. Right now, it looks like Jeff's midfield isn't working for him anymore, because I've been calling for Camavinga. I think Camavinga changed that finals. Obviously, Benzema is Benzema. Vini is Vini, right? Those two have.
Man, I hear you both. I hear you both on Camavinga, but you go with experience. You never go with a youth guy.
And that's fine. That's fine. He probably will come up. He'll probably come off the bench. I think he will come off the bench.
Ask yourself this: if you were to present to a CEO, would you put your best foot forward, or would you put an intern? You put your best foot forward. And no matter what, and this is the case, you put your best foot forward. I put experience overall. I get it, but I'd rather have him in the second half with youth and strength to be able to come back like he's done. I agree with you.
And that's perfectly fine. Yeah, and I'm okay with that. I'm just talking about next season. Because I remember I said Cruz hasn't shown me anything that is pulling up trees that is worth me saying that, he's going to be the future. Casemiro is Casemiro. I think he's still relatively young and he's still good. Modric. This is why I'm still
Casemiro's 30, man. Casemiro's 30, but he's got that kind of his kind of playing style is he'll be there for a while. I mean,
players nowadays, and I'll take exactly what Xavi said. Players nowadays, if they handle their bodies correctly, they can play for longer than 35. They could probably play till 38. So I would say Casemiro is in the top club. Can't say anything. The facilities are top. If he doesn't pull a dumb move like Adriano or Ronaldinho or Neymar, where he goes clubbing every weekend and drinking, then his stomach won't be affected and so forth. He'll be able to play. And I think he is that guy. there are players that they think they have the facilities, so they go partying, they eat junk food, and they think that's it. No, that's not possible. I mean, Tom Brady on average spends 1.8 million in his body. That just shows, okay, he has that money, because I spend maybe $20, but still, he has that money to be able to spend on his body, right? And I truly believe that Casemiro is a player and 30 years old that can easily go to 36 in his place, honestly.
Yeah. But I agree, Josh. And Cruz has said, he said he's going to retire Real Madrid. He said the moment that's why he retired from international. The moment he's not playing at that level, he will leave on his own. But he's not trying to leave Real Madrid. The moment Real Madrid, don't need him anymore, he will retire. And I respect that. I respect Cruz highly. I'm not saying anything about Cruz. I also think Cruz is underappreciated in his social media. He is actually hilarious. When the Sergio Aguero statue went up for City and he tweeted, "Sure?" ? Low key savage, man. Low key savage, because he's looking like Sergio Aguero is going to get a statue. Does everybody get a statue in City, or do you actually just you only put up statues of your legends?
I don't even understand why you would put. I mean, there's no offense to Aguero, he's great and all, but legend, it's a bit far fetched.
Yeah, he never won you really anything. I mean, that Aguero, will always live down forever. But I mean, the person who made that pass is exiled from football.
Yeah, you can put a plaque in the dressing room. You don't need a statue. That's ridiculous. I will say this. I'll ask you boys for a chance for a change. Whoever loses the Champions League, which season has been more of a disaster to whoever loses it? Would Real Madrid be a disaster season if they don't win Champions?
Oh, no.
Or would it be Liverpool?
It would be Liverpool. I think Liverpool will come into. I agree with you, Yves, 100%. The first half, it's gonna be high nerves more for Liverpool than Real Madrid, because Liverpool has the nerves of, we want to show that we can play, because what happened last time, it wasn't fair with Salah and Ramos, blah 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 blah, and then they have the situation of, we just most likely just lost the league, right? That went from a quadruple to having only one. Right, and it was a League Cup, whatever, right? Whereas Real Madrid, we weren't even in the thoughts for the league, let alone Champions League, right? Real Madrid, if we lose the Champions League, we had a phenomenal season. We show we're still there. We show that we have the future, and we show that once Mbappe comes, the world better be terrified of us, right? Whereas Liverpool, if they lose one title, a league title, losing to City again on the last day, losing to Real Madrid again in the final, all the moves they did in the summer. They don't have a striker. Jota ain't the future. Yeah, you have Luis Diaz, but he's pretty wasteful. Luis Diaz, I see him like Vinicius last year, right? Where next year he better step up his ability to finish, like the way Vinny has, his efficiency. I think Liverpool gets reamed out in the press more than Real Madrid, especially because English reporters and journalists are savage. They are vicious, and they will not let it go. Not to mention my fellow Man United fans out there who will make sure that Liverpool understands that once again, they lost to a historic club like Manchester United. Hands down, Liverpool. I think Liverpool has way more pressure on them than Real Madrid. I think that's why Real Madrid kept on winning against PSG, against Chelsea, against City, right? Because PSG, they had the best attacking trident since MSN and BBC, right? Ever, right? And then we beat them in the remontada. Then Chelsea, the Champions League holders, they had the pressure. They came in thinking that they were gods. We destroyed them in the first leg. City, this was their time, right? This was it. It was going to be a City-Liverpool final. Everything, pressure was on City. And now again, the pressure is not on the kings of Europe, who the pressure should always be when we are in the Champions League. The pressure is on the contender. And that's rare. Usually the pressure is on the historical champions or the reigning champions, not the contender in sports. But here it's gonna be completely different, and I blame the English journalists. And if there are any English journalists that listen to this, that needs to change. The pressure in England, the way they report, and they talk about, how can they report the way they do in Spain with Bale and all this stuff? Look at yourselves. Look in the mirror. Werner, Lukaku, Manchester United as a club, right? Every year, Pep Guardiola, every year, every time, going in on them. I'm like, you guys don't even kick the ball. How are you going to come in and be so vicious towards the people who are making you money, right? It's a reason why the Ballon d'Or is the most prestigious prize, not whatever prize is coming out of England. And this is the thing I don't understand. That's why I get so angry about EPL and EPL journalists and all the reporting. It's so biased and it's so deleterious when it comes to the progress of the EPL. The EPL in the last 5 years has done phenomenal. So yeah, I agree. I think it's going to be pressure on Liverpool more than Real Madrid, and that may or may not decide it in the second half. I think the game will be decided, not in the first.
Yeah, I'm just going to quickly answer Eve's question, and then Eve, you can basically quickly review the women's finals, and then we can wrap up with the transfer talk, and we'll try to do this in 10 minutes. We'll do our best. So I do agree with Jeff that it's going to be more the pressure from the English media than it is from the teams themselves. I think both teams' set of fans can be proud of their teams, because looking at the beginning of the season, we didn't think Real Madrid, especially Real Madrid's last season, we didn't think Real Madrid was going to be anywhere close in the finals. Benzema has really stepped up. Obviously he's been a very valuable player for Real Madrid since he left Lyon. So we all know that. And then, but just based on recent history, Real Madrid had no business being there. And then Liverpool, apart from Diaz, they haven't really been in the transfer market. And Konate, sorry, I forgot about Konate. They haven't really been in the transfer market. They haven't spent as much money as the likes of your Cities, your Chelseas, your Uniteds. So we didn't even think that Liverpool was going to be. We thought, okay, it was going to be maybe a top 4 race for Liverpool, and for them to be toe-to-toe with City after only buying one player in the January transfer window, and then Real Madrid winning the league, and now on the verge of potentially winning the Champions League. I think it's job well done. Liverpool already has 2 trophies in the bag. Real Madrid has 1. So, like I said, I think I do agree with Jeff. It would be more from the British media putting that pressure. And if any fan from either club complains, I don't think that's a real fan. Like, what's the terminology Eve used again? The
Rent-a-fans.
Sorry?
Rent-a-fans.
The rent-a-fans, yeah. Those are the only fans that should complain. Those are the only fans that should complain. But yeah.
Yeah, I mean, rent-a-fans tend to swing wherever the club is, and we all know they're facing Madrid next year. So I think Jeff needs to find a couple of Airbnbs for long-term residents. It's going to be very interesting next season. Yeah. So quickly on my topic before we move on to women's, because obviously it's an important topic. I agree with both of you. I think Liverpool's season will be in peril if they don't win Champions League. The reason why it'd be in peril because they're the only team that has to make a conscious decision in terms of what they want to chase. The moment that decision is made, they have to go all in. And if they fail, they're the one that's going to have the biggest repercussion. I think their window is closing on an ultimate team. Both wingers are getting to their years where you're going to start seeing some deterioration. And I do think that they haven't spent. And 2 of the top talents have now almost been solidified. So you're going to have to scramble to find other things. Granted, Liverpool can do it again. They've been there for 100 years, no problem. But I do think their window is closing, just like Belgium. And sooner or later, they're going to have to capitalize on every cup they win. And this could be one of their final Champions Leagues. if they don't treat it well. So they got there. They need to win it. I think Madrid will be there again, most likely, because it's in their blood. It's what they're trained to do. It's always in their blood. And you, as you said, Josh, you can't rule Real Madrid out. Versus Liverpool, it's a Prem team, and Prem have always prioritized Prem. So to have a Prem team in the Champions League final, you better damn sure win it, because you don't know when you're going to be back there. And the Prem changes so often, you just don't know what the future holds, right? So I think the pressure's on Liverpool. And I'll comment on what Jeff said. I think what the press does in England is absolutely ridiculous. The way they bullied Pogba, I'll never see this ever in my life again. Like, I've never seen this kind of bullying. I know that racism is head on in Italy from the fans, but I think something needs to be done for the journalists, because this is just beyond. It's just beyond. It's just not possible. And in Spain, they're notorious for making stuff up. I mean, sometimes they make Messi land on Mars and stuff like that, but that's fine. That's tolerable. What's not tolerable is abuse of players. Yeah. And I think British media is just absolutely disgusting. If I was a player, I probably wouldn't even have an Instagram or Facebook account to avoid getting into my psyche every single weekend. I would have to do something completely different. And kudos to Werner, because Werner, I don't know how he managed it. I think in his shoes, I would have probably been prone to suicide, how much abuse he's gotten. And Pogba, kudos to him. He should leave, because the abuse is becoming ridiculous. And that's probably affected his career at Man U. It's probably because of that.
You nailed it on the head, man. That's exactly it. And I just to be, I guess non-biased about Spanish media, the way they treated Bale was not right. But Bale also did put it on himself. He should have just stepped away from that picture. So it's very different than what they're doing to Pogba. Pogba isn't coming out there and saying France, dancing and then Manchester United, right? He's coming out there. Sure, he changes his hair color every other time, but so what? Ronaldo.
That's diversity. That's diversity, right? That's diversity, and that's what it is. It's a diverse player. He has his own style and stuff. No one was bitching and moaning when Dennis Rodman decided to dress up like a woman.
Right? I mean, they did eventually, but that was racist.
What about David Beckham, though? What about David Beckham? David Beckham had all the tats, all the haircuts, the mohawk.
Thank you, Josh. You nailed it.
You went to Asia, you saw everybody with a mohawk. So
when he did a skinhead, which is racially, historically, racially and right, derogatory in terms of those what skinhead refers to. Nobody was talking about it. They're praising him. Oh, he's with the Spice Girl. He's the Prince of England, of London. And then Pogba does it, and everybody's freaking out day in and day out. Like, come on, get over yourselves, man. But I just wanted to be fair to English media. Yes, they are bad, and yes, Spanish media does have its moments. Every media has its moments, but the extent, it's sad, and that is something that should be tackled. When they're going down and going on one knee, the journalists should be doing the same thing.
Oh, totally agree. And journalists should be down on one knee as well when they enter the conference room before they before they ask a question. I think something should be done for those journalists. It's becoming too much. It's come to the point where I only watch Sky Sports because it's the only one that are respected. And some of these guys aren't even respected. That's the worst part of it. They're allowed to say things that they shouldn't even say. I mean, talk about respect. I know it's football and it's a money-making machine, but it needs to change.